Welcome to Wealthy Mind, where we talk about all things finances, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the surprising. Welcome to Wealthy Mind. I am your host, Misty Rose Gold, International Success Coach. And here at Wealthy Mind, we love to help you create and maintain a wealthy mind. Today, I have with me Carla. Hi, Carla.
Hey, I'm really happy to be here.
I'm glad to have you. So, would you please share with the audience your full name and what do you do?
Yeah, so my name is Carla Wainwright, and I'm a holistic wellness coach as well as a sex, love, and relationship coach. And so I support both men and women with supporting their metabolism as well as diving into sex and relationships and pleasure, and just really supporting people to step into love being the guiding principle of their lives. And so, whether that's through the body, whether that's through relationships to themselves, to others, we really just navigate that path wherever someone is needing the most support.
Wonderful. And where do you hail from?
I live in Prince George, British Columbia, and most people won't know where that is. It's about a 9 hour drive north of Vancouver.
Okay. So it makes me think of Anne of Green Gables.
That is the entire other side of the
I
country,
know,
Prince Edward Island.
I know. But it just made me think of it, and I know it's on the East Coast, right? So
Yeah.
random thought. Okay. Well,
It is very
I
Canadian, though.
good, good. I'm super glad that you're here today, and I am really excited to dive into our topic. So, stress kills pleasure.
Hmm.
Now, the stress seemed to escalate a lot earlier this year, and it is a very relevant topic for us to talk about how stress kills pleasure, and it's all types of pleasure, right? It's not just whatever the first pleasure that comes to your mind. Somebody it might be sex, somebody it might be food, it might be whatever, alcohol, who cares? Like whatever pleasure it is that you receive from life, stress kills it. It kills our ability to actually enjoy each day and enjoy what we're going through. So take it away. Sex kills pleasure. No, sex does not kill pleasure. Holy God. Stress kills pleasure.
Oh, we might have to unpack that one a little bit, but that will be a different podcast, maybe. Oh,
Well, it depends on who you're having sex with. It
yes, I
might be
think that's very true.
pleasurable.
I think that's very true.
It might not be pleasurable, but anyway, I digress. Okay. Stress kills pleasure. Please, Carla, speak.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah. So, you're absolutely right. Well, I would say that it feels like, at least to me and to the people that I work with and friends, that the amount of stress that we're being inundated with increases exponentially every year. And so, in some ways, we might reflect back on a few years ago. Of course, COVID was enormously stressful. But I would say pretty much since 2020, there's just been this incredibly intense exponential rise of the stress that we all carry. And that's due to a lot of different factors. I think primarily due to technology and the rapid onset of AI and social media expanding and growing. And there are a lot of positives to that. But at the same time, as I really like to point out, there's a really big biological mismatch between our physical bodies and how they evolved over hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years, and this very modern life that we're living that is filled with stressful inputs each and every day, not just around us, like in our home or work environment, but it's also coming in from everywhere in terms of what we're taking in from around the world. And that has a really, really huge impact on our minds and our bodies, right? Our bodies were actually not designed to have a constant influx of stress. We were supposed to be able to handle an intense, acute, stressful situation, and then
Hmm.
that would resolve, and then we'd go back to a baseline. I actually don't know anybody who goes back to a baseline. I mean,
Me,
perhaps if you
I
do,
do.
oh, that's amazing.
But I created that, right? So
Yes.
I set the intention in my early 20s to cultivate inner peace and let that be my
Mm,
baseline. So I'm one of the weirdo, unique people that has that baseline, but I created it. It just didn't happen. So
yes.
that is my baseline. And that's where it's like, okay, usually I can face most situations and keep that baseline of internal peace because I've done the mental work too. And I love that about me, but there are some times where life catches me off guard, and I'm always bringing it back to that place. Like if it does stress me out, it's like, okay, how do I get it back to my baseline of peace? That's
Mm,
like my immediate. So I have a strong meditative practice, and any of my audience that's familiar with me, they know this about me, even though I'm a logical person that uses both sides of my brain and I'm in touch with all parts of me, including my soul and my emotions and my brain. I have a very strong meditative practice to keep myself there because peace is my currency. Inner peace is my currency. If I don't have that, I don't function well.
yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm so inspired by what you've just said. And I think that it is a true gift, but it's a gift that, like you said, you've cultivated it and, it
Hmm.
is a core value for you and you've prioritized it and had a practice for many, many years that is paying off in huge dividends to have that
Hmm.
capacity to return to inner peace. But as I'm sure you know, the reality is that most people have not cultivated that type
Yes.
of a practice. So even though someone may feel calm, perhaps on the surface, their nervous system isn't really experiencing life like that. Most people
Mm.
are in a state of nervous system dysregulation, which means that their sympathetic fight or flight
Hmm.
system, the part of their primal brain that's in protection mode, is kind of on all the time. And
Hmm.
so to return back to parasympathetic, which is rest, digest, relax, can be very, very difficult. And the cumulative effect of that over time is massive. It impacts our mindset. It impacts our physiology. It leads to metabolic issues. It leads to coronary issues. It leads to all kinds of things.
Hmm.
And I really do, sense looking at the world today is that the vast majority of people are just operating from a place of being more and more dysregulated. That stress is just such a massive factor in their lives, and they don't have either the practice or setting up their lifestyle in terms of supporting their biology to be able to really process that, alchemize that, and transcend that.
Hmm. Definitely. You do have to be very intentional with the life that you live in order to have a baseline of internal peace and be able to work back to that when you do have stressful situations. So I'm very intentional with my time, with my boundaries, with people, with my private space, like super intentional with all of it. And you just have to be because, like you said, the collective stress is increasing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not decreasing.
No, it is not,
And
and it's like unlikely to.
it kills us quicker as a society as a whole. It kills people quicker. Stress does that. Um, but fortunately, there are people like myself and like you who understand that there are we have alternatives, we have choices, even though maybe the mainstream world doesn't want you to believe that you have choice or power over all this, but you do. You have power to break away from the fear. You have power to break away from survival mode. You have power to regulate your nervous system and actually find inner peace instead of seeking it externally. Like, if we keep as a whole, as a society, if we keep seeking external peace, we're never going to have internal peace. Like it's the fear and control cycle that comes with survival mode. It's like, I'm fearful, therefore, let me try to control everything around me and not myself, but everything externally, right? So it's all external projections. And people really need to understand that they have the power to calm all that and be the eye of the storm, not the storm. Like they don't need to be the chaos that's trying to control everybody around them. Because if you do that, you're just going to burn yourself out even more. So there's a fine art that in my world with my practices, there's a fine art that I have developed, which is anytime I catch myself trying to control something outside of my control or fear, I'm able to identify either one of them and they're cousins. So one comes with the other, like they don't separate. If you're fearful, then you're going to be controlling. If you're controlling, you're fearful of something. So it helps me to identify what it is that I need to release, what I need to work on, and what I need to let go of. And when you get to that state of letting go, it's ultimate freedom. Like there's only so much that we can control. And the truth of the matter is, we can only control how we show up, how we think, how we feel. We can't control external events. We can't control other people no matter how much we think we can or how much we try to. We just can't. So there's ultimate freedom and ultimate release in letting go.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of things that came up for me as you were speaking. The first being is that we do have conscious choice, like you said. And so, on the one hand, we have our biology, and our bodies are hardwired to perceive stressful situations in a certain way. There's going to be a physiological response to that, is around cortisol and our adrenal glands and all of those sorts of things. And at the same time, as humans, we have this capacity for conscious thought and conscious choice. And
Mhm.
so we can be aware that, yes, my biology may react in a certain way, but I can make a different choice. And that is so important to, we're not powerless, right?
Mm-mm.
We can make a different choice. Now, it's imperfect. We might not always make a different choice, but we can return back and recommit to
Hmm.
really stepping into that conscious capacity and empowerment of like, I want to choose something different.
Yes. And we are powerful. Like that's, I think the message here that a lot of people need to understand and receive is that you are powerful. You have the ability to choose your thoughts. You have the ability to choose what happens with your emotions. You have the ability to regulate your own nervous system if you make the choice. Everything comes back to making a definitive choice. If we make that choice of, you know what, I'm tired of the stress, I'm tired of the survival mode, I'm tired of the fear, I'm tired of the control. It's exhausting because it is. When you're stuck in fear and you're trying to control everything, it's exhausting. Give yourself a break. Make the choice, right? As soon as you make that choice, everything goes to work to support you. You make that choice to step into inner peace, to let things go. Awesome. Life is going to help you out, guaranteed. It's just waiting for you to make that choice. But it all comes back to the decision point or a choice before anything will move in a different direction.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And that is one of the primary lessons when I'm working with clients of really, you have the power to make a different choice. So whether that is with your lifestyle, whether that is with your thoughts, whether that is with whatever that is,
Mhm.
and recognizing that. And of course, every every choice, conscious choice that you make builds upon itself, right? You create these new neural pathways. It becomes easier and easier as you really consciously step into that capacity.
I love that you mentioned that it becomes easier because it does. It's like working out. When you start lifting weights or you start doing any workout program, you're like, oh, this is so hard. And then it just gets easier over time. It's the same way when we're training our mind and our nervous system and our emotions, it gets easier. Like when I started this practice in my early 20s, it would take me maybe a couple months, maybe 3 months to see like a substantial shift of consistency over time. Now I'm 45 years old. So decades later, it can take me a day. When I
Mm-hmm.
see something that needs to shift, I make the conscious choice and then boom, everything inside of me goes to work. It could take a day, it could take a week, but certainly not months. So the effects are cumulative, guys, which makes this easier.
Absolutely.
It's in the beginning, it's tough, it's grueling, it takes a much longer time to shift. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. And that's part of the beauty of it. And I love being able to count on that programming that's inside of me. Absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm. So I think this is like actually a beautiful segue that to talk about pleasure and how
Mm.
because we can make a conscious choice towards that, right? So you asked me earlier, like stress kills pleasure, and it's absolutely true because when our system is activated, it our system down regulates this all the parts of ourselves that are responsible for desire, joy, sensual aliveness, all of these things because it's a survival trade-off. However, at the same time, pleasure is a nervous system regulator, and we can step into that conscious choice of, okay, so on the one hand, stress might kill pleasure, but pleasure is the antidote to stress. And so there's
Mm.
that choice point, right? And so that is, I think that pleasure is one of the practices towards inner peace. I think that as human beings, we have the capacity to experience pleasure in an infinite number of ways, and so
Hmm.
there are no, for me, I don't think there's any mistakes in our body, in our biological design, the way that we are. So if we have this capacity to experience pleasure in so many different ways, why wouldn't we want to lean into that?
Mm.
If we know on the one hand it is a nervous system regulator, it is helping to connect us with the hormones that help create this beautiful cascade of positive effects within the body. And it helps with our motivation, it helps with our insight, our creativity, all of these things. Why
Hmm.
wouldn't we choose that? But we have to
Hmm.
think of it, right? We have to consciously choose it because our biology is not going to take us there unless we are active participants in making a choice towards the pleasure that we want.
Mm. So you mentioned pleasure, and there's many different forms, like endless forms, and it depends on who you are, what really brings you pleasure as a person, right? Of course, the obvious is sexual pleasure, but some people don't care about that. So Um, I know the audience can't see this, but right behind me this weekend, I set up the garden that you see, and stuff like that brings me pleasure. It's an indoor garden for herbs, right? So I planted two different forms of basil, parsley, and cilantro. That's the first batch. And actively putting that together brings me pleasure. Growing stuff like the seed and then watching it grow and taking care of it. And that is something that really, really, really brings me pleasure. So we have to consciously take action toward those things that do bring us pleasure. I mean, the obvious, like I can hear people's thoughts right now that are listening, like, yeah, orgasm's great. Yes, of course, right? That's obvious. Obvious. If you don't have guilt around it, that's another topic for another story. Um, another day. Yeah. Guilt around pleasure is a big one, but it can apply to our general conversation around pleasure today because there is a huge stigma around enjoying life,
Mm-hmm.
around having fulfillment in life and in business. So you have to work through the guilt that you might be carrying and maybe some other stuff, unforgiveness and hate that you're carrying in order to actually experience the pleasure of some of the simple things or some of the bigger things. Like for me, this garden is huge because it represents life, and that brings me pleasure. I love to see things grow and to watch them grow and to be a part of that process. It's a part of who I am. It's what makes me me. So awesome, great. Here I am. But guess what? If I were wrapped up in some other thought process, if I were wrapped up in guilt, if I were wrapped up in all kinds of other things, would that have brought me pleasure this weekend when I put it up? Probably not. It just would have been a chore that I had to attend to. So it's how we approach things really that gives us that opening to experience the pleasure of it and of an event or something like setting up a little grow garden or whatever it is, if it's painting, if it's singing, if it's music, if it's running, if it's lifting weights, like are you lifting weights to bring you that sense of fulfillment and pleasure as a human being? Or are you doing it just for superficial reasons? Is it bringing you pleasure because of it? Maybe, maybe when you look in the mirror and you're like, damn, I look good. I got a six pack, right? But that's it. It's fleeting. So anyway, I'm off on a tangent. Pull, I'm the host, but pull me back in because whew, I can get going on this soapbox for hours.
Well, I definitely feel your passion around pleasure, and I think that that's wonderful. You know, you are right. The word pleasure can be really loaded for a lot of people, and you know, particularly for some people, you know, it might have some negative connotations from religion or upbringing or you know any number of things. And so, you know, if the word pleasure feels like too much of a stretch for you, you can even just bring it to something as simple as joy,
Mm.
happiness, right? You know, pleasure encompasses all of those things.
So wait.
Yep.
Because there's such extreme stress right now and extreme survival, maybe joy is too far of a stretch for people.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
maybe happiness is too far of a stretch for people. So let's think about maybe somewhere a little bit in the middle that we
So I
can,
I can bring it right there,
okay.
just feeling safety, right? Because pleasure actually creates a sense of safety within the nervous system, right?
Mm.
And so you may not think of it directly as that, but know that there is something that's happening that's just making you, for you could even just say like comfortable, at ease, open,
Ease is a good
curious.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, curious. Curious is a big one that I love to put out there. So I tell people it's like if you're experiencing fear and you want to get to the place where you're in that state of trust or faith, whatever works for you, uh, curiosity is a huge part of bridging that gap from fear to trust or faith. Be curious because when you're fearful and you're in fight or flight, you're not curious. You're not thinking about, like, oh, let me learn about something or let me ask questions or maybe if I do this, like, where is the solution, right? So that curiosity is the bridge that I use for myself too. It's like if I catch myself in that fear state, it's like, okay, where do I need to be curious? Where can I be curious to pull myself out of it? So I love that you brought up the word curiosity. It's so powerful.
And you know, there's a really very powerful practice you can do around curiosity. So, you know, if you were looking at a comic strip and somebody was wondering or being curious, they'd have a little bubble over their head and it would say, you know, HMMMMMM. And if you make that noise, so we associate with just kind of like, I wonder what that would be like. So that's curiosity. That vibration sound stimulates your vagus nerve, which is the longest nerve in the body and responsible for the parasympathetic response in your body, which is the rest, digest, relax. So simply by pausing and being curious and making that sound, you are stimulating the shift in your nervous system towards a deeper sense of resilience and relaxation and ease, just from making the sound of curiosity.
Hmm. We should try it. Okay, everybody. Hmm.
Yeah, that vibration is actually really, really powerful. And
Mm.
so it's a great thing to do if you notice that you're feeling stressed and it's like, oh, let me just be curious about what's happening in my body. And then just make that sound and notice, right?
Yeah, definitely. Another tool is take some deep breaths into your belly, not to your chest, because that's where the fight or flight breathing's out is in the chest, right? So if you're shallow breathing, that's a good indicator that you're in fight or flight. So make sure that you're belly breathing.
Yeah,
Take deep
absolutely.
breaths, and that will help you shift in the parasympathetic side of your nervous system. Deep breaths. Be aware all the way into your belly. and it takes the energy from your head, it takes the energy from other places, and it puts it down into your center so that you can feel grounded once again. And if you don't know what it's like to feel grounded, you can experience it for the first time.
Yeah. And be curious about what it feels like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't judge it. Don't judge it. Just be curious. Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't judge your stress. Don't judge your fear. Don't judge the control. Just be curious. Because
Yeah.
as soon as you judge, it increases your stress levels. I feel like so many people right now are on that camel's edge where the straw broke the camel's back. So don't judge your emotions, don't judge any of this, but do start taking some action and some power to get it under control before you break.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm.
And if we lean back into pleasure as an antidote to stress, I think this idea of titration, which is just very small amounts, can have a massive impact. So we don't have to go to an extreme of joy or orgasm or, you know,
Mm.
all of those are wonderful. But
Mm.
it's how can we bring in micro moments through our day that evoke a feeling of ease, safety, pleasure, whatever it is that you want to call it, and
Mm.
put those through our day. What that does, I mean, I'm trained as a biologist, so I love, understanding the science behind it, but it produces oxytocin, which of course is that connection and bonding hormone, which has only a half-life of about 2 or 3 minutes. But as oxytocin is produced, it reduces cortisol. It makes you more insulin sensitive. It regulates your sex hormones, your thyroid hormones. Everything starts to function with more ease in your body just from these little micro moments of, we'll call pleasure. And so, one
Mm.
of the practices that I think is very easy and accessible to everyone is to just link pleasure with your senses. So, it's like, what can I look at that makes me happy, that, I feel some connection to? What do I listen to? Maybe it's someone else's voice or a favorite song. What can I
Mm.
touch that I feel like, oh, that feels really, really nice? Taste, smell, all of these things. This speaks very deeply to the primal part of our brain because it's connected to our senses, which is,
Mm.
very part of our primal makeup. But it has such a profound impact. So if we're thinking that, oh my goodness, we live in just such a stressful time, I can't even contemplate pleasure. Well, you actually interact with your senses hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times a day. So
Mhm.
could you consciously choose to just be aware of a brief moment in that sense and actually just be present with it and be curious about, well, what's the effect if I actually pay attention to this bite of food that I'm eating, or
Mhm.
that tree that I'm looking at,
Mhm.
or the bird song.
So it makes me think of gratitude because gratitude is one of my practices to keep me in the right state of being a human, right? For myself. So it's the small stuff that I focus on the gratitude with of, wow, the sun feels beautiful today. Thank you. This food tastes great. Thank you. And, really bringing it back to the senses, like you said. So it was this morning on my way to one of my masterminds. I was expressing gratitude for the snow that I had to scrape off my car. The snow and the ice, there was like 6 inches of snow on the top of my car, and it's gonna be 95 here in Denver on the weekend. So Monday morning, below 30 degrees, scraping gobs of snow and ice off my car. And then in less than a week, we're going to be in summer temperatures. Like this is Colorado. This is how it behaves, right? So um, it's just crazy. But I was expressing gratitude for the snow so that I wasn't getting upset with the amount of snow and the ice that I had to scrape off my car. And it's not like me to get upset, but first thing this morning, I woke up to an email from one of my mastermind clients saying, hey, I'm going to have to go to the emergency room. So I was already in an altered state of like, I care about my people. My thoughts are with him. My prayers are with him. And here I am scraping gobs of snow off my car. And I felt that instant of, I'm about to get bitchy right now. This is not like me. I usually love playing with the snow. Nope, I am grateful for the snow. Thank you for the snow. Thank you for the moisture. Thank you for my cold fingers right now. I was expressing gratitude for the discomfort of how cold my hands were. I had gloves on, but they weren't like insulated gloves. So, expressing that gratitude is a huge way to really connect with the moment and to experience micro pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. And, I'm sure you noticed you had a moment of feeling that kind of stress, and then you brought yourself back to gratitude, and you immediately felt the shift in your body.
Oh, definitely. And my mood got better. Everything was better as soon as I started expressing outward gratitude. And I'm like, I don't care if my neighbors think I'm crazy because I'm talking to myself, but they're not me and they don't have to live my life so they can think I'm crazy because I'm going to talk to myself as I'm scraping the snow and the ice off my car. Yep. And it shifted everything. And it was like, okay, good. And by the time I got to my meeting, it was great. I just continued to express gratitude on the drive. Got to the meeting and I was in a good state of mind, showed up as my normal self in the business community. And here we are. So, um, if you guys are curious about these little tiny ways to start introducing pleasure into your nervous system, because it doesn't happen overnight, it happens over time. The effects are cumulative. You have to do it on a daily basis. The more you practice something, the more it becomes a part of you, negative or positive, doesn't matter. But if you're going to start implementing pleasure practices, gratitude's a great way. Curiosity is a great way. They're both very positive. Um, when you do it, just give yourself grace that it takes time. Remember, it's a staircase, steps, one step at a time, one day at a time. You're not going to get there instantly. It's not a microwave, even though we would love it to be, but it takes the commitment and the daily practice. So just remember that just little bits of gratitude each day, maybe once a day. If you're really negative and pessimistic, maybe once a day is all you can handle. So start there and then increase it to twice a day when you feel like you can handle it. Okay, cool. Then let's go 3 times a day expressing gratitude. Like the way I express gratitude for all the little stuff, that didn't happen overnight. That happened over decades. When I started expressing gratitude, it was maybe once a week, right? Like once a week, even. So who cares where you start? Just get started. But remember, one little step at a time, just do what you can handle because all of you, your whole biology has to shift with you. Like your mind has to shift with you, your nervous system, your cells, everything has to shift with you. So give it time to catch up. Give it time to shift and to, oh, this is how we're functioning now. Okay, cool. Right? It's a thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. Patience is sometimes, we live in a society with, instant gratification. So, oh, instantly, I practice gratitude, should be all good now. No, no, it's a practice, and it's practice. It's called practice for a reason because we need to practice it.
Yeah, I said gratitude once. It should be all better.
Yeah. Did you hear me, universe?
Oh, good. I wish it were that simple.
Yeah.
Now, the more you do it, the simpler it does get. So there's that. But you have to do it on a regular basis. Oh my God. Well, to practice what I preach, I am grateful for this conversation. I am grateful for every single listener that we have. I don't know how often you guys hear this, but I'm grateful for you. If I've met you, awesome. If I haven't, awesome. I am still grateful for you. And maybe that'll help calm your nervous system a little bit, just to know that someone is grateful for you. Um, it's a shame in a lot of ways in our society that we don't spend more time lifting each other up and elevating each other with our words. And it's even more important to do so for each other, even if we're strangers. in these times of heightened stress. So I am grateful for each of our listeners. I am grateful for you as a human being, and I am grateful to be a part of your life, a part of your business. I am grateful to Carla for being here and spending time with us. I am grateful for her beautiful face all the way from Canada on Zoom. I'm grateful for Zoom. Hey, thank you, Zoom. Like, let's be grateful for the things that we might bitch and complain about. And that's a jab at myself because Zoom changed their settings, and I'm like, ah, no, I'm grateful for Zoom because it provides us the opportunity to meet people all over the world. And I love that. So, that's me leading by example, you guys.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Carla, this has been wonderful. Do you have any closing words for the audience?
I'm hoping that your listeners really take to heart the power of pleasure. And like you said, just small little incremental pieces, they make such a big difference. Remember, pleasure is the antidote to stress. And I do have a free vibrancy guide where I talk about pleasure in there, and you can get that at
Hmm.
vibrancyreset.com. And I have some other tips in there around just feeling great in your body. But pleasure is always at the forefront because it is such a guiding light in my life.
Hmm. I love that. Thank you for your free offer. Would you tell us once again what is the offer and where can we find it?
Sure, it's called a vibrancy guide, so it's really a starting point for some of the things that we talked about today, and it just gives you a framework to start making those shifts, including pleasure. And you can find it at vibrancyreset.com.
Hmm. Thank you. I love that. And there's no risk. It's a free offer.
That's
So
right.
you guys jump on it. Be curious. Even if you have all these negative voices that are coming up in your head, oh, this is bullshit. Oh, I don't believe in it. Oh, it's woo woo. Yeah, shut up. Just be curious. Be curious. Go to her website. Check it out. Come on. All right. Enough said. Thank you, Carla, for your time. Thank you to the audience. We love you. Until next time, we will see you soon. Thank you for tuning in to the Wealthy Mind podcast. Please be sure to download the Wealthy Mind app today and make sure to support your local Dress for Success.